Welcome back to Living a Full Life. Today, we're talking about a topic that's becoming one of the biggest health conversations of our time: loneliness. But we're not just talking about feeling lonely, we're talking about loneliness as a public health issue. We now know that emotional and social connection is medicine, as powerful as exercise, diet, sleep. So, today, we're going to be breaking down why loneliness is skyrocketing more than ever, how it affects your physical and mental health, why community connection may be the most important wellness tools you can practice, and simple, realistic steps to rebuild real life connection in a hyper digital world. Thanks for joining us on Living a Full Life. Each and every week, we bring to you content that you can use and digest for you and your families to live your life more full and more healthy. And loneliness is something that's been passed down from generations as perceived as just being isolated. But in a world where we have so many people and communities and neighbors that are literally 5 feet away from you, how can we feel lonely? It's almost perplexing to think how that can be, but it's the digital age and how engraved we are in the digital world that is making people lonelier than ever. The US Surgeon General recently declared loneliness and social isolation as a national epidemic. This is in 2025. Loneliness isn't about being alone, it's about feeling disconnected, even when surrounded by people. The rise of technology, remote work, and social media has created the illusion of connection without the real thing. The average person today has far fewer close friends than 20 years ago. Loneliness has become especially intense for parents, teens, new mothers, entrepreneurs, and people in transitional seasons: divorce, moving to a new city, or having a new baby. You can add a your personal story to this and find the times in your life when you felt lonely. It feels like these times of loneliness are more pervasive now than ever before. We had times, I remember moving my family from Canada to Florida, and there was a short segment of feeling lonely, but we surrounded ourselves with people very quickly. And for many reasons: one, for support; two, to create a village; three, to not be lonely and to be connected. And it's really important. And even though these people are newer and not as lifelong friends as our lifelong friends, and they're not our mothers, they're not our fathers, they're not our siblings, they are community. And it's really important to do that. Most people don't realize this, but loneliness doesn't just affect your mood, it changes your biology from the inside out in an epigenetic way. These effects are higher inflammation, increased cortisol, a weaker immune system, higher risk of heart disease, greater risk of anxiety and depression, increased risk of dementia, poorer sleep, less motivation and energy, and the list goes on and on. Loneliness can increase your risk of early death as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This is the wake up call that I think modern society needs. And you've heard it from not just this podcast, but you've heard it around. It started with the pandemic in 2020 when people were really forced to be isolated. I think that brought it to the surface of what the digital age is really doing. Introverts may be, excited about working from home and being away from people, but even they will side on this, saying that connection is really important. So we're biologically designed for community. Connection regulates your nervous system, it stabilizes your hormones, it improves digestion, strengthens immunity, and even increases your pain tolerance. It's really important when we make these connections neurologically to in our overall well-being. Very important. We cannot ignore this. And if connection plays such a major role, we need to invigorate and be inclusive in that to solve it on our own. So the benefits that happen directly by being communal is that you get an oxytocin release. You get a boost of oxytocin. It's a small boost, but it works. And this helps connect hormones. It calms your stress response. It improves mental clarity. It strengthens resilience. It improves dietary discipline and health habits. And it helps you live longer, literally. The connections you get, even the small connections of just asking people how they are and reciprocating and them asking you how you are goes a long way. And we're not just talking about the quick grocery store, cashier that asks you, how's your day going? It's those deep connections when your neighbor actually says that extra sentence and just cares a little bit more. That's what we're talking about when it comes to connection. Sometimes you just being able to talk and walk away and be like, man, I really splurged on that person. They didn't need to hear all that is therapeutic. It is something that is biologically calming to your system. So isolation is leading to a lot of issues. We used to, 20, 30 years ago, look at behavior strategically for isolation, and in a psychology and psychiatry perspective was more about how people's behavior changed by being isolated, and they become not introverted but more isolated, lack of eye contact, quicker responses, maybe more mute, less talkative all around, and they were healthy. They didn't have any mental disease or mental illness relating to their decisions to talk less or be less social. It just naturally happened. And that's where research kind of fell through for decades on that. But now with the digital shift, it's happened so quickly where people are engraved in their monitors, their screens, and they're getting connection from digital, which is not real. It's not human. And now with AI, this is where I'm going with this whole podcast. If you're wondering where this came from, AI is creating digital avatars, not AI. People are creating AI tools of digital avatars that you can create and make friends with. It's getting so real that you can actually make them look like your dead mother, or I don't know. I mean, you can see where this is going. And that emotional connection can actually happen through AI responses. My question is, if we're having AI algorithms giving us the responses of what we want to hear, and it's not that human component, it's kind of like your dog or your pet. They're just perfect, aren't they? They don't, it's because they don't say anything. They're just always there for you. And that's the same thing with AI. We'll have that type of connection. You can have that kind of love, just like you do for your pet. You can, what am I trying to say here? You can develop. Develop is the word. Develop a connection like that, which is false. Some may argue with me and say, well, how could that be false if that connection is there and you are already feeling it? Doesn't that all that matters? The human component is the key between all of this, and we can't forget that. We got to use examples of what we know. And I've done a lot of podcasts. I love the blue zone research. And when we look there with groups with high social cohesion or live together areas, like in Sicily, in the Mediterranean, in the Pacific Rim, when we look at these blue zones, they all had community. They all lived within a cohort. They all lived and communicated with each other. Families kind of lived together. In Sicily, it's very common for generations to live together. You have grandma, mom and dad, and the kids all living together. Sometimes it's separated, like on the third floor, second floor, and first floor. You have three generations, but they're in the same home and they may cook meals every day together, or they're there together. There's that tight cohort that's there. In America, we're all about separating, getting out of and being empty nesters and getting our freedom. But still, we want to keep connection with that. And we think that texting, once a week, our kids or our family is enough connection. It's really not. A lot of these people who even do some of that still suffer from loneliness. So we have group fitness communities outperform solo exercise. So people who are part of a group fitness that run together, go to a spin class together, go to a Zumba together, and they make that their thing. I'll say, hey, Sandy, I'll see you next Tuesday, same time, 10 a.m. at the Zumba class. Yep, I'll see you there. And they do that each and every week, or most weeks, have deeper connections that way. Families who eat together have better metabolic health, that as well. We don't just adjust the spine as chiropractors. That's where, my specialty comes from. We support the whole person, and that includes emotional and social well-being. And that's what this podcast is for, is to touch on the things I can't touch. Literally. If I can't get to your spine and your nervous system physically, we have to talk about the things we can do mentally, spiritually, chemically, to help ourselves be well. And this is one of those things. Mental health is a big thing. And by no way, shape, or form am I an expert in mental health. I haven't written a book about loneliness. I'm researching and learning just like you. I'm just bringing you the facts each and every week so you can digest and make your own opinion about the information that you get. But mental health is a very important thing, and I feel like in the Western world we ignore it. And social pressures create a lot of isolation, where just even our work and our careers can make us isolated unintentionally. Luckily for me, I'm a hands-on service provider. So I get to work with people all the time, and there is connection there. I do get connection from that. I do feel whole, and I feel like my cup fills. But for other, let's take my IT friends. They go they wake up from their bedroom, go to the kitchen, and go to their office den in their home, and they are there for 10 hours. They may talk to people. They may not even talk to a human. They may just get a chat response or a ticket that opens up, and then they're logging into that software and they're fixing issues that are broken, and that's their job all day. And they do this in and out each and every day with little connection. You can see how the months or years go by where a sense of loneliness can develop. So we have to take active responsibility for building connection. It doesn't happen automatically anymore, unfortunately. With the digital world, it's distracted everyone, not just you. So people are distracted in the digital world. Before phones, before the internet, you had to go down to the pub or go down to the restaurant or go down to the cafe or wake up in the morning, go to the cafe and see the people, your neighbors, your friends, or whatever it is, or get together with the end, a Friday night block party with the kids and watch them play. There used to be more of that where you just naturally had to go do that. I mean, a week or two would go by and like, man, we got to go see somebody. We got to go do something, right? People don't need that anymore. You're going to say, why? Is it because the entertainment's worse? The restaurants are worse. The cafes are worse. The neighborhoods are worse. The neighbors are worse. It's not. It's everyone's still great. It's what's happening is we're getting fulfilled by digital media. And it's leaving us that disconnect hormonally and in the biology of our bodies where we're missing something. And the sense of loneliness is escalating in a lot of people. So here are some practical real world stuff we can do and strategies that we can take for you and your families that you might want to implement. Even if you take one of these things, it may be like something you're like, wow, this is a great idea. We got to do this. Weekly family dinners. If you got kids in college or in high school and they're just super busy, I know how it is. They go to school, after school, they're doing practice, they're hanging out with their friends. You barely see them. They may be missing the dinner time, or you got to work, or whatever it is, you work late. Weekly family dinners, Sunday nights, or whatever it is a must, and it has to be a ritual that happens each and every week if you have a family that's like that. Coffee with a friend every Thursday that's outside of your family. My father's 82 years old and he lives in Canada, and winters now, and it can dip down to -20 sometimes. And what he'll do is make sure he gets in his car and he'll go to the local mall, which is about 15, 20-minute drive. He'll go 15 minutes, drive to a nice indoor mall so he can do his walk. He does a 5-kilometer walk every day. And then he'll sit down and have a coffee and usually run into somebody he knows and they'll chat. They'll chat for like 2 hours. Those old guys will talk forever, but I don't know what they talk about, but they talk about that stuff. And he comes invigorated. He comes back home invigorated. He does his 5K. So he's a little tired, but keeps him moving. He's on no prescription medication. And he's from Italy. I mean, he's from one of those blue zones. It's just ingrained in his DNA that you got to go do this stuff. He doesn't even know how to use digital media. So I think that's a blessing for him as well. A Friday night walk with your spouse. Just got to make rituals, make connections, and make these automatic. And then what you can do for yourself is join something consistent. Be part of something. Join a fitness group. Join the local church that's around the corner that you've always been meaning to. Join maybe maybe you don't want to go to church every week. Maybe you join the programs that they offer on the side. Go into men's or women's groups that are non-spiritual or non-religious. Parenting groups, lots of them all around there. Ask other parents. Sports leagues, pick up that college sport they used to do before, but play with the people your age. Pick up the beer league, hockey, or whatever it is that you enjoy doing. That every Thursday night at 9:00, you go play a game of hockey and you be part of a team. Those things are really important. Show up repeatedly. That's how we make bonds. That's how bonds are formed in our human psychology, is repetitiveness. It's the constantly showing up. If you ever played for a sports team, you know what that means. You show up to every practice, you show up to every game, and you give it 100%. That's connection. That's community, right? Initiate more than you think you should. I think this is the biggest tip out of this whole podcast is if you think you're doing enough, you're not. Initiate more than you think. For extroverts like myself, pretty easy to initiate stuff. Hey, how are you doing? What are you doing this week? Hey, I'm always saying yes. Hey, do you want to go play golf? You want? And I can't. They can't fit in my schedule. But I'm always open to opportunities to hang out with people, whether it's golfing or whatever it may be. Most people are really lonely today. So even though you're initiating and you're trying to get out there and take care of your own health, you just don't know who you may be helping. Everyone is waiting for someone else to initiate. That's our society. And be the person who reaches out. Replace screen time with human time. 1 hour tech free windows each and every day. Eat meals without a phone. Now, the 1 hour tech free windows, this doesn't mean right before bedtime. We have to do that before bedtime. Remember about blue screens or blue light? We don't want to be exposing ourselves to light 1 hour before bedtime. So you cannot use that as your free downtime. This is 1 hour free tech window some other time during the day where there's just no tech. You're doing something else, writing or reading, something else. Eat meals without a phone. Please don't have any phones at the dinner table. For many other, we could spin off on 2 other podcasts on behavior and mental health on what happens when you bring this to the table. Teaches your family that the connection of the family at a very important time, which is dinner time, is not important. If something on your phone is more important than that, then our priorities are inversed. Put the phone away during conversations. Otherwise, your spouses or people will directly tell you, I don't feel like you're listening to me when you have a phone in your hand, right? You've probably heard that before, right? It's important. And it is. Not infuriating to the person that's being it done to, but it's also psychological. It's like, if you're not making eye contact with me, I have no connection. Hence why an AI avatar will never be able to replace a human, no matter how integrated the conversation becomes and how deeply involved we become emotionally. Emotion is only one component of the human biology. Human to human interaction is the full component of human biology. We got to rebuild our micro connections. What are those? Um, the little things. I brought up the cashier. These are powerful. Talk to the barista. Compliment someone at the gym. Thank the cashier. Micro connections rewire the brain to feel safer, more social, and more open to deeper relationships. I remember this was a couple weeks ago, and I was at the gym, and I'm doing my squats on the squat rack, and there's a lady using the extension, the back extenders, and as a chiropractor, boy, do I hate that thing. And she was definitely overextending as she was she was doing it reverse, so like a crunch, like doing an ab sit up on it. So, and she was way overextending. And then I go up to her. I'm like, I hope you don't mind me chiming in and interrupting you. She's like, no, absolutely not. I'm like, the way you're overextending is going to cause a lot of lumbar facet issues. And I actually use the words, and it's going to shear. And she's like, oh, I'm a dancer. We were taught to do that. I'm like, yeah. And your flexibility is so high, you're going to have even more. And she was like, thank you so much. I'm like, try it again. Watch this. And I stopped her at a certain moment, like, stop there and come back up. She's like, oh, that's so much more difficult. I'm like, yes, not only is it more difficult, you're going to develop more strength and you're going to avoid injury. And I think she was okay with it. And as I was walking away, I'm like, she's probably 20 years old. I'm this 40-year-old creep. So I immediately was like, oh, was that the wrong thing? But after thinking about it, I'm like, I went and gave her advice and she received it. And there was a connection there. There was advice. There was a connection. There was reciprocation from her, whether she liked it or not. Maybe she walked, maybe she did think I was a creep after. It doesn't matter. But that connection, it was goodwilled on my part. It was like, I'm really worried about her back. And no, I didn't give her my business card, but that's how we did there. And that was a small interaction, just as an example of something out of my comfort zone or outside of my norm that I did. And then create opportunities together. Micro connections rewire the brain to feel safer, more social, and more open to deeper relationships. So, how do you create more? Pop up dinners, game nights, neighborhood walks, community events, simple gatherings build roots. Do you have to host a barbecue each and every week? No. Can you go for a walk in your neighborhood and just talk to the neighbors that are out? Absolutely. We love bringing our dog, and when there's other dogs out, immediate connection there because the dogs want to sniff, and then you get to talk to the owner. Some of them are really isolated. You can tell who's isolated. They don't want to make conversation. They don't care. You take it personally because you think maybe they don't like you, but it's really not that. It's that they're isolated people. And they just, when you're trying to make a connection, they're just not open to it. And by doing those things and asking them how they are, can really change their overall health. It's amazing the longevity of doing these micro things human to human. So if you want to live full life, one of the most important things you can do is surround yourself with people who help you feel alive. This has to be a thing you do selfishly for yourself, because the outcome is not only better health for yourself, you're also spreading good health to other people with connection. That's what the human component is all about. So I'm going to give you a 1-day challenge. I want you to text 3 people you've lost touch with. Schedule a coffee or a walk with one of them if they're local. Do one small act of kindness for someone today or tomorrow, and eat a meal with someone, just not your screen. Connection doesn't have to be a big and dramatic. It just needs to be consistent. So loneliness is real, but but so is the cure. I mean, the cure to loneliness is connection, and it almost seems simple, but you have to go out of your comfort zone. The reason why it's not comfortable now is because of the digital world. It used to be comfortable 20 years ago to go out and go to the pub, hear somebody talking about the local sports team and chime and be like, "The coach sucks, man." And then that's all the guys had to do. I'd sit there like, that coach absolutely sucks. And then boom, now we're best friends and we're having another beer together, right? So that's how this stuff works. Connection is medicine. Community is medicine. Presence is medicine. If you want to change your health, change your relationships, or just rebuild them. And if this episode helped you, share it with someone who might be struggling silently. You might be the connection that they need. And keep living a healthy life. These things play a huge role. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week with another topic we're going to be talking about. And if you love this one, share it with somebody so they can listen to the podcast as well. And make sure to leave a comment or a review on there. It pumps us up in Spotify and Apple Podcasts and ranks us higher so more people can find us. And that'd be super helpful. Have a healthy week. Stay well, stay healthy. Take care.